Welcome to the FMCG podcast. Make sure you're following us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us out. Enjoy the show. Hi, good morning. My name's Rich and we're Consumer Hub, and this is the FMCG podcast where we speak with the leaders today and hear their category insights and also their advice on leadership within the FMCG space. We're really excited because today on the show we've got Mark Cumming here with us, and Mark is currently the head of FMCG for UK and Ireland, and he sits within the global marketing team at Costa Coffee. Over to you, Mark. Please just give us a quick intro to you, your role, and what you're up to at the moment, if that's all right.
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you for inviting me along. It's great to be here. So my name's Mark Cumming. So I head up the FMCG team in the UK for Costa Coffee. So what that means really is I'm responsible for developing our business within what we call the at-home coffee side. So that's beans, pods, granules, etc. And then also our ready-to-drink range as well, which is cans and bottles, things like what you can see here. So yeah, really excited to be here. Give a brief overview of my background if that's
that'd be brilliant.
Yeah. So it's been if I sort of go back to the start, I spent about 5 years at the Nielsen company, so one of the largest market research companies in the world, where it sort of got a really good grounding in terms of FMCG insights, data, and brands. And then from there, I moved to Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Partners, which is the largest global bottler for Coca-Cola in the world by revenue, and spent about 14 years there in a variety of different roles, from insights, strategy, shopper marketing, innovation, commercial, revenue growth management, and last couple of years before I moved to Costa, was commercial development director for the UK, sort of managing our sort of go-to-market strategy and execution across all of the channels in the UK market. And then, as I say, last couple of years been at Costa developing the FMCG range, which has been really exciting.
Oh, great. So you've definitely done kind of every key rotation in marketing in drinks, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. You must have been enjoying it then. If you've been with it for that long, you must love drinks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a soft drinks as a category is a fantastic category to be in. It's strong growth over the past few years, constantly evolving. There's lots of trends that are coming through, like health trends, and the functionality, etc., which are really coming through. So it's always changing, which I think is it's kept it exciting and interesting. And then the move to coffee was a kind of an extension of that. So a slightly different category in hot beverages, but definitely sort of transferable knowledge. So it's been great.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, I got to say he's one of the most kind of enjoyable parts of recruiting in the sector is just keeping on top of the innovation. So we've always got like a big snacks box and drinks fridge for the team. So Harry and Leah in marketing, they're always looking for something new that we've not seen before, and then drop it in there and getting everyone's reviews. And it's great. It's just such a dynamic space. But yeah, drinks in particular is it's a particularly interesting niche. But how did you find kind of starting off in Nielsen sort of opened up opportunities then to sort of build into Coca-Cola? Because it's quite interesting that you've come from that inside agency background first.
Yeah, so I see it as a fantastic grounding. So I was there for, like I say, almost 5 years. And I think now, looking back, every role that you do across marketing, sales, commercial, whatever, having a really strong understanding of market trends, analysis, the kind of levers that you can pull to manage a P&L is really, really important. So it gave me, it was a great grounding in terms of understanding the different categories, understanding different brands, how they work, and I had the great opportunity sort of working on a number of big brands whilst I was there. So I worked on the likes of Unilever, Bacardi Martini, Reckitt Benckiser, and obviously Coca-Cola as well. So you could start to understand how different brands operate and what the sort of commonalities and synergies are. So yeah, really important. And then even today, because I've got that kind of insight background and grounding, it's the first thing I try and think of is what does the data say first, rather than jumping to a solution that you think might be right, but it's trying to go back to the facts. And that's Nielsen that's drilled that into me.
Give me that really good foundation. It's great.
Yeah. The other thing I'd add to that actually is storytelling. I think is a really important piece as well. So again, through the training that you have at Nielsen, and I'm sure they still do it today, it's like, how do you take lots of complex data and insight, and rather than developing 200 pages of it and sending it to the client, you've got to really distill it down and boil it down into the so whats. And I think that's again something that's really important to me at the moment is, how do you make sure that you simplify complex information, and everyone's busy, so that's even more important. So that's definitely something else that gave me a really great grounding in.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Just developing that kind of mental habit of being sort of focused and forensic in the questions that you ask, rather than just hitting everything going.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of critical thinking really is the key thing. I think it helps you to really think, what is the problem you're trying to solve, and then what's the data and insight to support that.
Yeah. And just for those that aren't aware at the moment, can you just give us a quick run through the kind of current take-home offering for Costa?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I say, we kind of split it into two areas, ready to drink coffee and at-home coffee. For ready to drink, it's still a relatively small category in the UK. It's worth about £275 million at retail, but it's growing rapidly. So it's been in double-digit growth. So our Costa range is available in a number of different formats. So we have these kind of 250ml can formats, which are our latte range. We have a new frappe range, which is a kind of recycled PET pack in a 250ml pack format as well. We also have a double shot flat white product, so a kind of higher caffeine offering. And then also we've extended into multi-pack cans and also a new 750ml sort of fridge pack, if you like, or a pouring pack, which we launched late last year as well.
Great.
So really long range, meeting different consumer needs and occasions. Because one thing that's really interesting in the category is, there's people, the consumers that want more of an indulgence and a treat.
Yeah.
But then there's also people that want, more of that intense kind of caffeine hit as well. So you've got to kind of make sure you've got offering to cover a number of different bases.
Yes, it's interesting as well, like the how many people engage in coffee in different ways. Like it seems like just even 10 years ago it was very much it was Americanos and flat whites, wasn't it? Whereas now there seems to be so many other different entry points into that kind of coffee category.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's constantly evolving as well. There's lots of different trends within coffee, which continuously sort of pushing the boundaries, and as you say, whether it's different flavors, textures, strength, and kind of different origins as well is really important within the coffee category. So yeah, lots of changes there, which kind of leads me on nicely as well to our at-home portfolio. So we've got a number of different products in the market. We've got our roast and ground kind of bags that you may see in the supermarkets, and our coffee beans for bean to cup machines. We have a range of different coffee pods, so whether that's Tassimo pods, whether it's Dolce Gusto or Nespresso compatibles. And then also we've got a really fast growing what we call premium instant, which is a micro ground instant coffee solution in a tin. Which is, all you need is a kettle, and you've got a really great quality Costa coffee in your mug. So, and that's doing really well.
I've got a load of that. We've just here actually.
Really, it's good. Yeah, it's definitely a winner. It's a great product, and it's definitely got some strong momentum in the market. And then we've really just launched. Pleased to sort of say that we just launched some mixer sachets as well. So basically a sachet format which you pour into a cup. Again, just add hot water, and it creates some delicious salted caramel lattes or millionaire and cappuccinos. So some really nice, indulgent sort of frothy drinks as well. And again, in an instant, which is great.
Range is massive there. Well, I mean, these really nice to my next question. What is this sort of the essence of the customer proposition for the Costa take-home brand then? Because there's a brand, isn't there, that sort of covers all those different occasions. Like, how do you sort of distill it down into a distinct proposition?
Yeah, so I think one of the great things about Costa Coffee is it's the nation's favourite coffee shop for 13 years in a row. So we literally just been announced the 13-year award recently. So consumers love it up and down the country. It's got really high brand recognition, really high brand trust and love. And effectively, as we see it, we think about it as there's a number of different occasions within coffee, and it's continuously evolving. And consumers are interacting with coffee in lots of different ways, whether that is the high street and coffee shops, or whether it is a ready to drink, chilled coffee, or indeed, at home with their kettle. And, what we want to do is bring that kind of Costa magic to the at home and ready to drink categories, because we know that if we can offer a total coffee solution, a total Costa Coffee solution, then people can access the Costa brand on any occasion, rather than just in the coffee shops or just in the express machine. We can offer that sort of total coffee company approach, and that really resonates not only with our customers but also consumers as well. And the way we think about it as well is that those occasions that perhaps in the past we haven't been able to be part of, we can also use them as a recruitment space as well. So we can bring people into the Costa brand through the at-home range or through ready to drink, and then they may go into the high street stores as well, for a slightly different experience or a different occasion. So it's that total coffee company sort of ethos that we're trying to drive, and being present across all the key occasions.
Okay, it's interesting you talk about that recruitment there, because something that I've observed is, say, the younger members of the team in the office. I think I'm older millennial now. They all love the RTD cans, and but they've also, that's kind of in the entry point into drinking frothy coffee or a flat white, and then it's a syrup, and then some of them are starting to get into the hardcore stuff. No sweetness. But my kids have been the same. My eldest loves a coffee now with me, and he has it as a bit of a treat. But initially it was really sugar and the frothy kind of sachets, like you say there. And then he likes kind of proper coffee now. So, but I've just find that kind of sort of recruitment into different aspects of the category fascinating, because it is very dynamic, isn't it, how you move through and enjoy and shop and experience those different segments.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, it's something we see in the data as well, that often, young adults, will come into the coffee category firstly through ready to drink. So that's their kind of entry point. It's almost a move from perhaps a milkshake into a coffee flavored, and then move from there. So rather than, as I say, going straight for a hot coffee or a flat white or something. So it's really important, again, from a brand perspective, to have a number of different entry points into the brand and into the category, and ready to drink is absolutely that. That does part of that job as well. And it's growing rapidly, as I say. It's it's certainly a category with momentum, and we're seeing that across a number of different occasions, in home and out of home.
Yeah. And then really interesting kind of trend at the moment is QSR brands moving into that take home space. What are some of the challenges and opportunities for QSR brands that are looking to move into take home?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I think for us, going back to perhaps my previous point a little bit is, we see it as a big opportunity. It's an area that if you take Costa a few years ago, where we didn't really have an at-home offering, we didn't really have a ready-to-drink portfolio. Those occasions may still, or they did still happen, but Costa wasn't part of it. So, it's very difficult to try and move an in-home occasion first thing in the morning or whatever, straight into a coffee shop. So it's important to have an offering across those different areas. So I think the first thing is it's kind of opportunity, it's incremental, and it doesn't sort of cannibalize the core business, which is really important. So there's no kind of debate as to whether we should or shouldn't play there.
Where's the downside? There is none. Yeah,
there is none, exactly. And again, as I mentioned, from a consumer perspective, having that total brand experience is really important. So there's no downsides to it. I think the challenge, if you like, is you've got to, as a QSR brand, take it seriously and have it and have a strategy around it. So it's not a FMCG is not a project on the side or something that someone else can add to their to-do list. It's got to be a well-defined strategy. It's got to be resourced in the right way. It's got to be invested behind, and you're building an FMCG brand. And of course, you've got some equity from your QSR business, but you have to establish the brand in the mind of consumers for different occasions. So it's just not easy. It's something that needs work. So that's probably the challenge is for any QSR brand thinking about moving into this space. I think it's it's the right thing to do. It's incremental, but do it properly.
Yeah, great. That's great advice. Good.
And that's what
Rules for life as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's what Costa's done as well. I think in the past few years, and it has been a defined strategy to accelerate our FMCG business. And when we've started to put resources and investment behind it, we've seen that growth pretty much triple as a result. So it's really important to as I say, put some focus, attention, and really drive it.
Yeah. That leads me nice on to the next question actually, which is obviously the brand speaks to itself. It's the nation's favourite coffee brand, but that you still got to then go and execute with impact, haven't you? Because one of the phrases I always like that all the alcohol boys and girls use is liquid on lips, and how unless the liquid actually gets on the lips, then all the marketing doesn't mean anything. Like, how do you make sure you execute so you get the coffee on the lips of the shoppers? Like, what's the magic there? Sort of taking that big brand and just making sure that nobody rests on the laurels and it actually gets into a cup and in the home.
Yeah, no, it's challenging, right? I think it starts with, for me, having great quality products. And I know it sounds a bit obvious, but it genuinely does. And we're passionate about the quality of our coffee. And majority of our coffee comes out of our roastery in Basildon, so it's, in the UK. And the attention and care that goes into that coffee is really key. So it all starts there. And it's making sure that every product that we develop for the market is better than what's on the shelf. And that's really, again, a passionate point for us. So that's, we go through a lot of kind of internal hurdles to make sure that the quality is, really, really top notch. And we've been recognised externally from, Product of the Year awards and other awards, to recognise that quality. So I think it has to start there, and all the marketing and everything else and activation that goes around it helps to, get in front of consumers. But to keep them coming back, it's got to be a knockout product. So that's my first point. I think the second thing is, one of the things that I don't know whether everyone's aware, but Costa was bought by the Coca-Cola company a few years back. So we're part of the Coke family, which brings some amazing benefits. And one of those is working with the bottler that I used to work for, Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Partners. And we work hand in hand on the Costa ready-to-drink range, for example, to bring the product to market in the best way possible. Make sure that we've got great distribution so that consumers can find us everywhere, and the brand's activated, really well. So we're kind of tapping into that skill and expertise of the Coca-Cola team to really make sure that we've got impact in market. And then similarly for our home products, we work with a company called All About Food Limited, who are essentially a business that specialise in taking hospitality brands into grocery. So again, we kind of leverage their huge amount of skill and expertise in terms of bring products to market, and again, that really helps us to make sure that we're getting cut through in the aisles, in the shelves of the UK retailers. So I think partnership is important. We also work with JD Dow Egberts for our Tassimo range as well. It's kind of a lock system, so we're a guest brand within that system. So I think it's just taking the knowledge and expertise of Costa in terms of the amazing product quality, the marketing and everything else, but then also partnering with key businesses to help us in areas that we haven't perhaps got that sort of expertise in house. So that partnership point is really important for making an impact in market.
So just remember making sure that you absolutely nail the product and the partnership aspects. Yeah, so you can augment what you're already doing well. That's really interesting. What do you think makes a good activation in store for a QSR brand that's moved into take home? Because from what I've observed, just as a shopper, just as Joe Boggs in the street, there is a bit of a nuance kind of difference between how you maybe position yourself versus other brands that don't have that QSR presence.
Yeah, so I think the important thing is to try and bring some of that hospitality QSR kind of experience and magic to life. And I think there's some great examples of how you do that. Sort of the coffee shop quality in the aisle. That's something that we tried to bring. You see other areas, other brands, it's restaurant quality, if it's Nando's or GBK or whatever. I've seen activations in some retailers around the kind of the restaurant moment at home as well. So I think it's kind of tapping into what people know and love you for first and foremost. And we know that our consumers love going into a Costa store, enjoying a lovely drink served by a barista, and having a great experience. And I think the more that you can kind of tap into that through communication, through in-store activation comms, to try and recreate that experience in the home, I think is where the success lies. And I think more broadly, I think in terms of activating with retailers and perhaps tapping into some of my previous experience at Coca-Cola as well, I think partnering with retailers is really key. So bringing them in early, and understanding what they're trying to do and what occasions they're trying to drive, and because they're going after, and then also what you're trying to do from a brand perspective as well in terms of transferring that equity into the home. And I think it's just them working through together of how you kind of meet both of the objectives and bring that to life in a store environment. So I think that's really important. But yeah, I think overarchingly, I think it's how do you create that experience that they love out of home and bring it in home. And it's to be honest, it's very similar. I worked in in the past on brands like Schweppes, massive mixer brand in the UK, and again, what you see is consumers love having experience in a lovely bar and having a perfectly served cocktail with garnishes, and it's Schweppes can play that role in the home as well. So I think it's how do you recreate those out of home experiences and bring that to life for activation.
I mean, and just more broadly speaking, what qualities do you think drinks brands need to do to be really successful in retail?
So I think for me, I think what I mentioned it, I think at the beginning around soft drinks is constantly evolving as a category, and there's constantly new brands, new products, new flavors and tastes that are coming through. So they're always emerging, and what you see is any brands stand the test of time, and some don't. As trends kind of emerge and disappear. I think if you look at brands like Coca-Cola, who have absolutely stood the test of time and still extremely strong and growing stronger every year. I think one of the things that I think thinking about that brand and other similar brands is it's constantly evolving. So you're not staying still the whole time just with an existing product or a brand and doing the same thing. I think Coke is an amazing example actually of how you're taking something that's been around for over 100 years, but then continuously evolve it. So I don't know whether you've seen at the moment the sort of Coke Creations products that are going out, collaborations with singers, new tastes, new flavors, things, and then also linking in with the likes of Marvel and the metaverse and things. It's
the Marvel stuff that I've seen. Kids like.
It's really interesting and it's fantastic activation, and it's it's helping to appeal to that next generation of young adults, and I think that's really important. It's not just staying as it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It's consumers as they grow up will see the Coca-Cola brands in a different way that we saw it when we were growing up, and I think that's really important, is just continuously evolving, continuously tapping into different passion points and key trends. And not resting on your laurels. And I think those brands typically are the ones that will be truly successful.
Great, that's really interesting. Well, on that point, then, are there any sort of updates, kind of cheeky glimpses into what's coming down the pipeline for Costa RTDs that you can share with us today?
Yeah, I think Costa RTD is we're still pretty young, so we're I think 3.5. Or maybe the fourth year of launch now in the UK, and we've got real momentum. So the brand's worth almost £25 million at retail. It grew at sort of over 50% last year, with just about kind of around 10% market share of the RTD category, and and growing ahead of other brands, more established brands in that category. So we've got real momentum, and I think what's really positive for me is when you look at where that momentum's coming from. You don't want to just be switching from other brands because it's not really sustainable. When we look at the data and the insight, what's really clear is we're highly incremental to the RTD category. So we're helping to that category growth, which is fantastic. So we're bringing in the people that love the Costa brands, and bringing them into ready to drink category, but also people that are perhaps don't choose to go to Costa on a regular basis out of home. We're bringing in those people to the category as well. So I think for us, it's we've got momentum. I think it's making sure that we continue to drive recruitment to the category. There are some people that just haven't tried the ready to drink category or don't consume it often. So I think it's about 25-30% household penetration in the UK. So that means you've got kind of 7 out of 10 people that are just not buying it. So it's really important to make sure that we're sampling lots, putting cans in hands of
cans in hands. Can I add that to my lingo? That's a new one. That's great.
So making sure that we're doing that, because again, there's barriers to the category. Some people don't like the idea of cold coffee, and because they haven't tried it before. Perhaps they're only used to hot coffee or not even coffee at all. So once we know that we sample the products, we know that people love it. It's a fantastic. And that will be a big focus for us this year. You'll see heavy sampling campaigns. We're also really sort of dialing up our taste. So we've got a great taste. We had a slight change to our formula last year, so we've got a really great taste. So we're really trying to get that out to as many people as possible. And then also we're kind of still in the first year of launch of our frappe range, which are more sort of slightly more indulgent, slightly thicker in texture. We've got different flavors. We've got a chocolate fudge brownie flavor. We've got a caramel swirl and a smooth coffee flavor, and they are amazing products.
Sounds like a great Friday afternoon coffee, that does.
Yeah, no, honestly, they are
one of them.
Yeah, fantastic products. So we're still, we've just launched those. So, really it's making sure that we're providing availability of those, activating those brilliantly with our customers, and of course, really strong marketing plans as well to connect with our key consumers. So you'll see us, at festivals around the country in the summer. See us with heavyweight marketing and of course in-store presence as well. So really excited about that this year. And of course, I mentioned before, we've got our 750ml in-home consumption.
I need to check that out. That sounds great. I've not noticed that yet.
I'll get some sent to you. It's it's fantastic. It's a really, really great product. We launched it September, October time because we can see that there's a lot of consumption in the home of ready to drink categories. So providing a solution that taps into that. We know consumers working from home, having a bit of a in between Zoom meetings, they haven't got time to make a hot coffee, so they grab something cold in the summertime. So it's a perfect product and really doing well. So we're excited to see how we can take that forward as well.
Yeah, it's interesting the point you make about the summer actually, because I am a bit of a fiend for energy drinks. I love energy drinks. Bit of a I love shopping the category as well. But I really got into RTD coffee last summer, and it was just because it was so hot, so baked out in the office. Just thought, I just fancy a coffee. So I started shopping it, and then quickly got into it. But it's interesting your point around that kind of Halo hero status that you've developed for the Costa take home proposition, because that is the holy grail, isn't it? That's where you want to be, because it's bringing people in that wouldn't buy it normally. But I do genuinely love a nice chilled iced coffee now. But it's just weird to think, even until last summer, it wasn't something that I was shopping. I was still just always hardcore flat white every time. But there's an occasion, isn't there, where you want something just a bit colder when it's hot.
Absolutely, and I think that's the thing. You discovered it last summer. There will be people that haven't discovered it at all yet. So we need to make the category relevant for them, and summer is a great moment to do that. But equally, there's other opportunities as well. Like this Christmas and last Christmas, we launched a gingerbread RTD can as well, which seems really well. So Again, it's kind of tapping into different occasions, different consumers, and also, we're known and loved for the gingerbread latte in our stores, and bringing that magic across into ready to drink, into grocery as well is an obvious extension, but a great one, and something that particularly lighter buyers of the category have come in through that sort of gingerbread, giving it a try and be like, it's amazing. So then they start to the ready to drink.
It's an iconic Costa flavour, like you say, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Or what about kind of more broadly, for people that are kind of looking at where you've gone in your career, they're interested in what you've been delivering and achieving. What qualities do they need to develop as leaders to stand out and to kind of put in the bedrock of sort of character development to then achieve moving into those leadership positions, in marketing, commercial, later in their careers?
Yeah, so I think for me that there's three big qualities of a great commercial leader, if you like. I think one is being able to kind of set a clear strategy and roadmap and vision for where you want to go as a business, as a team. So I think having a really clear vision, and then some simple KPIs that the team can all kind of galvanize around. I think that's really important. So you're really clear on where you're going, what you're trying to do, and then what the measures of success are. And it sounds really basic, but it's something that's really important. I think it sets a foundation, because then how you're tracking, regardless of what function you sit in or part of the team, and having that kind of long-term vision is really important. So I think that the best leaders, for me, set that vision, set that framework, and the key KPIs amongst that. I think the second thing is a great leader is aware of their kind of leadership shadow as well. So the presence they have, the culture that they are creating, because it is often the leaders that are creating that culture. So I think being respectful to people, being calm under pressure, inviting challenge, listening to others, being open to being wrong. I think including everyone in sort of key topics or decisions or culturally, I think is really important. So I think that's really important, just in terms of being aware of, as I say, this kind of leadership shadow is really important. So be aware of the impacts that you have on others, and it's relatively basic. It's just being human, right? But I think it's really important that as a leader and as someone progressing through their career, you're constantly aware of that. And then I think the third thing is something probably I'm still working on. Is just trying to sort of ruthlessly prioritize, because I think the best leaders are those that say no to stuff as well as saying yes. I think setting a really clear, like I say, strategy, vision, and then being clear on the things that are going to deliver that, and being okay to say, actually, it's a great idea, and we should be doing it, but actually we haven't got enough resource investment, or we're too busy focusing on the big things that are really going to make the difference, that we're going to park until a later point. So I think being clear, prioritizing, and just being clear on stuff we're going to do and stuff that we're not going to do, and being okay to say no. And it's amazing actually what a difference that can make. There's an example recently where I really wanted to do something, would have looked great on shelf, would have driven an uplift, but there's some other things that actually were bigger to get after and do, and we needed to focus on. And a quick conversation between myself and a colleague, and we killed it, and we said, no, let's park it and let's do it next year, or come back to it at a later point. And actually that's then really clear for ourselves and the team that we're not going to do that now. That's off the priority list. And we've doubled down on the kind of key priorities that we've got in the plan. So that's probably saved that sort of half an hour call has probably saved months of work. And I think that's important for me.
Yeah, no, that's a great point you make about being ruthless with the priorities, because it's a really difficult balance, I think, when you start to involve people, and I say be aware of your shadow and try and develop a more inclusive approach to leadership, that there are more opportunities naturally for distractions. So I think it's interesting what you make. It's kind of basic human stuff. It's kind of basic in how obvious it is, but it's actually really difficult to execute, isn't it? It requires a lot of self-reflection. I mean, we're a company of 10, but gosh, I found it hard as we've hired people to kind of start to bridge that gap between bringing people into things. I can only imagine what it's like over different strata in a bigger company. And so I must come back to, like you were saying, the first point around being aware of the culture you're building, because I suppose if you've not got the culture that supports that sort of self-reflexive approach, it becomes difficult, doesn't it, to instill those values into that kind of layer of team around you.
I think so completely, and I've been very fortunate in the businesses I've worked in and working now, but the culture's been great, and it enables that honest conversation. Whether it's with your line manager in a team environment, that you can say, how are you feeling? And there's kind of tools and techniques to be able to encourage that, and that's kind of welcomed in the businesses. So I think because of that, you get a better overall outcome. And you're able to discuss and debate things, and then make decisions, and then move on. And I think that's really important. And like you say, the culture is critical to that being a success. But once you've got it, it definitely you're constantly kind of raising the bar, I think, between yourself and the team. Yeah.
Well, Zoom show, we've only got a minute left, so
right.
That's kind of that's the end. That's the end of my kind of outline as well. But it's been a really interesting chat. Thank you so much for your time coming on the show today. And for anyone that's enjoyed listening, watching, please do reach out to Mark. Thank him for his time, and most importantly, go and try out some Costa at home products and enjoy them. Let us know what you think as well. Get stuck in.
Indeed.